The Zero Network by Thx4thestories. Read by Oak5. Chapter 10. Get this foul chattered off my house. The sports festival was amazing. Izuka had been vibrating with excitement since Aizawa brought it up in class and informed them that they were going to begin preparing for it. When his name was mentioned by President Mike, any people who booed were removed from the stands, and quickly it was clear to the crowd that mistreatment of the quackless kid wouldn't be tolerated. They even cheered for him a few times. It was more quiet and subdued than the cheers for other students, but one section filled by people in bright red shoes more than made up for the silence from most of the crowd. When they'd mentioned coming to watch in person, Izuku had gotten Nezu to agree to reserving a section just for the other Zeros, and stationing more security around them in case anyone else caught on. Izuku even bought plane or train tickets for Zeros who didn't have the money to travel there on their own, and they were staying with volunteers from the network until they had to go back home. It was the knowledge that his people were here to cheer him on, and that he was inspiring people like him all over that pushed him to do his best. Their screams rang in his ears as he flew over the minefield on robot scraps. His name being chanted by his friends kept a smile on his face, as May's inventions helped his team hold onto the million points. Each of his matches in the last round were fought to the soundtrack of one section of the stand shouting encouragement. He managed to get Shinzo out of bounds simply because he'd been training with the boy to improve his hand-to-hand skills and knew his fighting style so well. Shinzo put up a great fight for the same reason, but Izuku kept his mouth shut so he wouldn't fall victim to his friend's quirk, and eventually, a mistaken footwork gave Izuku the chance he needed to get the upper hand. His second match was against Kaminari. The classes he'd taken in gymnastics and rubber-soled shoes really helped avoid the blonde's quirk long enough to knock him out of the ring. Katsuki lost to Todoroki just barely, but the fight was close since they'd been working on encouraging the boy to use his fire, so Katsuki was more than willing to accept third place. Dodging waves of ice and fire was tiring, but Izuku had gotten approval for his new support equipment, so his reinforced bow staff was able to break through the ice wall around his friend. Quick footwork gave him the leg up to get behind Todoroki and knock him out with a blow to a pressure point. Izuku stood on the first place podium, with two of his best friends on either side of him, hands linked and raised in victory, as the crowd of Zeros lost their minds in the stands. As if they'd never tried to slander him out of the school, every news company published articles and ran segments on how amazing it is that the first quackless Zero student won first place. They sang his praises and raved about a quackless kid beating other quack kids, which always made him roll his eyes. If anyone with a quack had won, they wouldn't be losing their shit about their win. The only bleak spot in the entire ordeal was Stain attacking Ida's brother. Luckily for Ingenium, Nova had a meeting nearby that required them to miss the festival. Nova was leaving the meeting and hoping to catch the last of the show when they cut down an alley and found the serial killer standing over the hero who was on the network's approved hero list. Now, Nova has always been morally grey at best, but they'd be damned if they stood by while one of the few heroes that would help a Zero was murdered. Stan never saw Nova round the corner, and by the time he heard the gunshot, there was barely a bullet in his spine. Ingenium walked away with very minor injuries and told the cops he'd never seen the person who saved him. If Nova confessed at the sight of their red shoes, had the hero telling them to leave before they ever even called for the police, that was just for them to know. Ida went home for the weekend to spend time with his family after the close call. Most of their classmates went home for the weekend, so it was a quiet day in the common room that Saturday when Todoroki stormed into the room with a determined look on his face, waving a piece of paper around. "Midoriya, we're going to the mall, and anyone else who wants to come is invited." Kaminari looked up from his switch. "I'm too sore to go anywhere today. Did you even get permission from Aizawa?" The paper was waved harder. "I've got the slip, and we're leaving right after I hand it in to Aizawa." At that moment, the teacher walked into the dorm with arms full of groceries for the students. He thought it was punishment for not telling Nezu how smart Midoriya was sooner, that he had to do the shopping for the dorm. "What are you handing me, and why?" Todoroki set the slip on top of the grocery bag Aizawa had pressed to his chest. "I'm taking Midoriya to the mall and buying him anything he wants. Maybe even buying the mall. I haven't decided yet." Izuku made a squeaky noise in surprise. An eyebrow was practically in the teacher's hairline now. "Why are you buying Midoriya a mall?" "My father called me this morning and called Midoriya a slur, so I'm testing if the credit card he gave me is really limitless." The look on Aizawa's face was priceless. Shock, pride, and rage all mixed together before he sighed and looked at the other students. "Who all is going?" It ended up being Todoroki, Izuku, and Mina walking around the mall. The pink girl couldn't pass up a shopping spree on someone else's dime. Normally, Izuku wouldn't let someone pay for his things. Independence instilled in him by his mother prevented it. But he was willing to make an exception. And it was one hell of an exception. They bought books, games, any snack that looked good, overpriced sunglasses from a kiosk, and they picked out a pair of diamond earrings for Inko. Todoroki actually went into a random furniture store and shouted that he had a limitless card inspired, so everyone pick out 3 things on me. One woman ended up crying and hugging the clearly uncomfortable teen because she'd just been trying to figure out how much to save for a crib, and now she had the 3 most expensive things for the nursery. Izuku had let Mina help him pick out almost an entire wardrobe of designer clothes. When he kept turning down clothes from the enigmatic Wanderlust label, Mina got frustrated with him, loudly questioning why he didn't want anything from the best fashion label. The second he admitted to owning most of it already, as it was Katsuki's parents' label, the girl turned her ire to the blonde friend instead. The shouted accusations into her phone of Katsuki trying to deny her the life she deserves by not introducing her to his fashion designer parents almost got them kicked out of the store. Todoroki offering to buy one of everything in the store had the employee telling Mina to be as loud as she wanted while they rang him up. They made sure they had a wide array of sizes so the classmates could pick out what they wanted from the clothes being delivered to the dorms the next day. Todoroki distracted Mina from the biggest betrayal of her life by buying her 7 new limited edition handbags at another store. They gave Endeavor's credit card a workout that day. Izuku went absolutely crazy in the Hero Merch store, insisting they get matching Miyako hoodies to wear in an Instagram post. He knew from Todoroki that his father hated whatever hero beat him out for number 1 that year with a burning passion. Apparently, it never occurred to him that if he wasn't a flaming pile of trash, his popularity would go up and maybe the nicer heroes wouldn't keep beating him out. While the cashier was ringing up an insane amount of hero merch, Todoroki came up with a better idea. Endeavor left town that morning for a mission, and his siblings would be having dinner at the Todoroki estate. He grabbed 2 more Miracle hoodies and texted Fuyumi to let her know to expect 2 more for dinner. Mina had been invited, but was too excited to head back to the dorms to do a video of her popular fashion and makeup TikTok account with all her new clothes. So, Izuku found himself handing his bags off to Mina as she got out of the fancy car Todoroki had called to drive them when they dropped her bag at UA before they left for Todoroki's childhood home. Fuyumi greeted them excitedly, going on and on about how grateful she was that Izuku had encouraged Choto to try to be closer to his siblings these last few months. She reminded him a lot of his mom, all quiet and cheerful, but he could see the strength in her eyes. Natsuo laughed like a madman when Choto pulled the hoodies out and asked for a group picture. The picture of Izuku at the head of a table in Endeavor's spot, with the Todoroki kids in their seats all turned so there was a clear view of Mirko's face on each hoodie captioned, "When everyone turns up to family dinner with their favorite hero merch on," went viral in seconds. Mirko herself tweeted the picture with a key smash and a string of heart emojis. Shota was showing the tweet to his siblings where they were about to start preparing dinner and said to Fuyumi, "You know, I didn't think you'd go for it, since you're the one always telling us to give him a chance." She sighed. "I want us to be a family, but I heard the things he said to you on the phone this morning. He keeps saying he wants to change, but never actually does anything to change." She stared at the floor. "Maybe I finally realized he doesn't deserve any more chances." Natsuo flung his arms around their sister. "I knew you'd come to your senses." The joyful atmosphere was shattered when loud footsteps preceded the number 2 hero himself entering the kitchen. His flames licked at the air around him as he glared at the group. "Does anyone want to explain to me why I had to leave a mission early after I got a call about my kids posting slander about me online under a picture of that null in my house?" Years of hearing the slur kept Izuku from flinching at the reminder that some people thought of him as a genius freak because he didn't have a quirk. The fear in his friends' and his siblings' eyes, even as rage crossed their faces, had Izuku stepping forward to say in a bored voice, "Did anyone actually force you to leave the mission, or did you choose to rush home and ruin a perfectly good dinner?" Izuku stared into angry blue eyes with no fear. "You know, you may want to watch what you call me. I have this hobby, you see. I really love digging up every secret and piece of dirt on the people around me and my friends." He was playing with the knife he'd been using to chop vegetables now, eyes tracking the movement of his finger along the blade. "Todoroki has told me some things about you that have me indulging in my hobby." The knife pointed at Endeavor's face lazily as Izuku grinned maniacally. "The things I have on you would cause even the most dedicated Endeavor fans to riot in the streets until your head was on a spike. So, here's what's going to happen. My new friends and I are going to go out to eat dinner, and you're going to start the process to have your wife released from the hospital, and then you're going to sign away your parental rights to your youngest son so his mother can raise him in peace in the house you buy for them, and you'll never contact any of them again, or I'll release every bit of dirt you've ever tried to hide." A large, flaming hand slammed on the counter next to Izuku. "You don't have anything on me, boy. You should be careful who you mess with." Unblinking, Izuku stared back at the man. "Angie Todoroki paid me exactly 1.2 million to falsify his wife's test results in order to keep her in a psychiatric hospital much longer than necessary. Dr. Ken Tanaka. Angie Todoroki paid me multiple times to come to the Todoroki residence to treat injuries sustained by his children in suspicious circumstances and keep quiet about it. Dr. Maya Ando. Angie Todoroki used his wealth and power to force me into a marriage for the purpose of creating a child with the perfect world for hero work and abused myself and my children every minute after that. He is directly responsible for our first son's death. Rei Todoroki. If you think I don't have anything on you, you're a bigger idiot than I believed. Izuku got a thrill from the blood draining from the hero's face. He decided to make a final point. You seem to think you're untouchable, but honestly, you're sloppy. Your crimes are poorly hidden, and I could take you down with a water hose and a gun. Now get to work, or I'll be coming for you, bitch! He grabbed Shoto's wrist and led him from the room, the other Todoroki children following in a daze. They didn't speak until they were in a cab on the way to an address given to the driver by Izuku. Then, Natsuo turned to Izuku. That was so amazing. I thought he was going to pass out. Seriously, if you were older and I was into men, I'd marry you right now. Izuku rubbed at his neck. Yeah, I think I'm a bit young for marriage to someone I just met, but we can be friends for sure. That got a laugh out of the other boy. Izuku was pressed to a teary-eyed Fuyumi's chest. Thank you so much, Midoriya. You've done so much for our family. Shoto was still just staring at Izuku when Fuyumi released him. Izuku looked at his friend nervously. I'm sorry if I overstepped, Todoroki. I just couldn't let him. He was cut off when Shoto pressed soft lips to his cheek. Izuku's face had never been more red, but managed to get redder when he said, Call me Shoto. A shaky, okay, was all he could get out as he pressed a hand to his cheek. Natsuo laughed. I think you broke him, little brother. Shoto glared at his brother. No more offers of marriage before I can get him to be my boyfriend, Natsuo. Izuku squeaked out, Boyfriend? And Shoto nodded. I would like to take you on some dates first. Bakugo has been helping me come up with a plan, but seeing you blackmail my father made me too impatient to wait any longer. So will you go on a date with me, Midoriya? Nodding and blushing, he answered. Yes, call me Izuku, please. But yes, of course, I'll go out with you. Fuyumi was smiling softly at the cute display, while she slapped a hand over Natsuo's mouth to stop any more teasing comments. Soon, the car came to a stop and they climbed out of the car. Fuyumi was the first of the confused siblings to speak. A bar? Izuku smiled. Yeah, there's someone I want you all to meet. Wait here for just a second. Then he disappeared inside the bar, the bouncer nodding at him as he passed right by. The other two looked at their younger brother, who shrugged and explained. Izuku's a Yakuza boss, so it makes sense he knows some shady people. They exchanged a look and silently agreed to not argue with their clearly mentally unhinged brother. In just a few minutes, Izuku came back, followed by a tall man with dyed black hair and a very familiar face, even under the burn scars. Fuyumi gasped and Natsuo rushed forward with a cry of, Toya! Before slamming into their long-lost brother and almost knocking both of them to the ground. Toya wrapped his arms around his younger brother with a quiet, Hey Natsuo, missed you. Izuku ushered the siblings back into the car, shot a text to his mother, and gave the driver his address. After they all hugged and cried on their brother, Fuyumi finally asked what was going on, and Izuku explained. I met him years ago when he was homeless and still messed up from his burns. I took him to a doctor that works with the quirkless and got him healed up, so the scarring wasn't as bad. I know some people who can help hide people in bad situations, so we got him a new name and a job. He looked at Shoto, hoping he wasn't about to lose the promised date. I'm sorry I kept it from you, but Toya, insisted on him being a secret, and with everything I knew about your father, I didn't want to risk exposing him. Shoto grabbed Izuku's hand, squeezing reassuringly. You protected my brother. I can't be mad about that. Fuyumi looked at Toya. Why didn't you ever try to contact us? I'm not mad, I just want to understand. He told us you died. Toya sighed. At first, I was just trying to survive, and after Izuku found me, I didn't want to get any of you in trouble if he found out I was alive and in contact with you. I didn't want to be the reason he hurt you more. I know I left you in that house with him. Fuyumi put a hand on his scarred cheek. You were a kid, Toya. We don't blame you for not being able to save us. Besides, we have you back now. What's the point in spending the time we didn't think we'd get being angry? The conversation turned lighter and they caught up on each other's lives until they reached the Midoriya residence. A small house they'd bought after the apartment fire, where his mother had an insane amount of food waiting on such short notice. They sat around the table, laughing and talking like a happy family. Halfway through the meal, Shoto turned to Inko and said in a very serious manner, I'm going to marry your son one day, Inko-san. I hope you can support our relationship. Izuku choked on his food and Inko rubbed his back as she said, I would be honored to have such a wonderful son-in-law. Maybe wait until you graduate to propose, though. Izuku's face was bright red as Shoto nodded, clearly pleased at Inko's approval, and everyone else laughed at the flustered teen. Sitting around the table as they poked fun at him and Shoto, it occurred to Izuku that this is what it felt like to have a big family. It was nice. Woo! This was a longer chapter! Yes! And this chapter was also really good. I loved the part where Izuku threw out the trash, if you know what I mean. And also the end where Izuku says, yeah, this is what it feels like to have family. It's so cute. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 10 of the Zero Network, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!